Law 31. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. The best deceptions are the ones that seem to give the other person a choice. Your victims feel they are in control, but are actually your puppets. Give people options that come out in your favor, whichever one they choose. Force them to make choices between the lesser of two evils, both of which serve your purpose. Put them on the horns of a dilemma. They are gored wherever they turn. The world is but a stage, and we are just puppets in their game. But do you really have the awareness of their true level of control? In Law 31, various examples are given about how clever and cunning people of authority played on people's minds by presenting them with the idea that they have freedom of options, but in reality, it's opportunities for deception. They are controlling the options so that whichever you choose still works out in their favor. They understand that to actually gain control with people's cooperation is to be deceitful. Get them to choose between your limited and rigged options so that it allows them the feeling of having some say in their fate, when in reality their fate is already determined. And this isn't just done by randomly presenting two options. Fear has to be introduced into the equation to create panic and a desire for a quick fix, which is key for them to mask the lack of quality options. When you have a peace of mind, you will be able to have sound judgment and critically assess situations and conclude the best way of proceeding. However, when the mind isn't settled and in constant worry, your judgment is clouded and all you desire is to fix your problem to be at ease. The issue with the latter scenario is, have you really considered the true cost of your decision? Will it be of benefit to you long term, or is it the beginning of regret? Now let me compare this law in relation to all that is going on in life right now. Is it fair to say that this was all a part of their plan? All this time, the powers that be have been setting the stage for order out of chaos. They have intentionally allowed major problems to brew up in society to now have something to present to you as an incentive to vote for them. As if everyone hasn't been complaining about the ridiculous conditions we are currently living in, conditions that are causing major conflict in the lives of many. The goal is to keep people in survival mode. I mean, think about it. Overly inflated rent prices leading to countless evictions and a substantial increase in homelessness, expensive grocery prices causing many to compromise on seemingly healthy choices, and I say seemingly because it seems like there's a new recall on food items every day, which is another example within this topic of giving us a choice to choose our food, but both the good and the bad options are killing us, just at different rates. People are losing their jobs and most receive bare minimum paychecks, which is requiring people to slave and work 2 to 3 jobs just to still end up struggling to cover their basic necessities. And that's speaking on one-person households. Imagine people with kids. When you are in survival mode, that alters your way of thinking due to being in a constant state of heightened stress and anxiety. A person can only take so much until there comes a point where some will rebel to get what they need by any means necessary. I mean, it's already happening. Crimes are being committed in broad daylight. People are randomly being attacked and shoved in front of trains. People are being robbed and scammed in devious ways. Shoplifting rates have increased tremendously. People are stealing groceries. Department stores are facing group raids and looting. It's gotten so bad that security guards aren't even allowed to intervene with shoplifters to avoid them getting hurt, which is completely understandable, but also counterproductive if you ask me, because if a person sees that with bad actions there is no consequence, there is no incentive for them to behave. And it's one thing to be a willing participant in these activities, but it's another thing to constantly be getting updated on these things happening through news and media, especially when it's in close proximity. That's where fear develops, whether it's conscious or subconscious. The idea of leaving the house will increase people's anxiety and hypervigilance. It's this overwhelming constant fear of possibly being the next victim. And the powers that be understand that fear is the lowest frequency to be on, and they also acknowledge that it is the easiest way to control the masses. Every day we are being targeted with chaotic, fear-based information such as internet drama, shootings, robberies, chaotic politics, genocides, potential wars, climate change, highly contagious diseases, potential lockdowns, and the list goes on. It's too much. It is not normal to take in this level of chaos all day, every day, on top of the intentional strain they are already forcing people to go through every day just to be able to access their basic necessities. A perfect example is the Hunger Games. They show how circumstances can change the most innocent people into the most animalistic if it means survival. They started off with depriving them of their basic necessities, everything that allows you to feel safe, stable, and secure, which will result in you being in survival mode. And when a person is in survival, they will literally do anything. You're not thinking about what's the ethical thing to do. You're thinking about what am I going to do to get what I need to get. And some people will stick to their moral standards, but some will get it by any means necessary. And the government knows this. They have made us so dependent on them just to threaten us through deprivation as an ultimatum when trying to manipulate us. This was necessary to pull off their plan because withdrawal and disappearance are classic ways of controlling the options. You give people a sense of how things will fall apart without you, and you offer them a choice. It's either you continue to suffer your current circumstances or you vote for either party that resonates most with your desired changes. But the trick is, the choices given by both the Democratic and Republican Party is complete shit. But because those are the only two options that are presented, you're more willing to settle without question. So when people are seeing that things are so chaotic, they begin to look for a savior. And when in survival mode, you're not 100% critically examining your choices. You just want a quick solution. So they're going to be even more willing to choose between the lesser of two evils without pushback. But at that point, even when you don't like either option, you're going to settle for one out of desperation. When in reality, both parties are actually in cahoots. Once the cameras cut, they're probably all kicking back at the bar just laughing. After all, politics is the entertainment division of the military-industrial complex. In my opinion, our relationship to the government is like narcissistic abuse. They make us dependent on them and then lie, manipulate, traumatize, and gaslight us into submission. And as the years pass, they are playing in our faces more than ever, presenting us with options lower than the pits of hell. And due to programming, society's standards just get lower and lower. And even when the standards don't align with their expectations, because they're so desperate for a savior, they will accept the bare minimum versus pushing back for real change. But I get it. Where will pushing back get you in a society that labels you crazy for having the eyes to see? We can barely even talk online without being called conspiracy theorists or even censored for speaking truth labeled as misinformation. The game is rigged. Understand that they will never allow the opportunity for a candidate who wants genuine change that works out in the people's favors. Their idea of ruling is in alignment with full control, full power, and ultimate greed, while feeding off of our energy source. In the real world, but also in the new digital world, they create chaos, wait for our reactionary responses, harvest our energy, and benefit. All I can say is we live in a world run by sinister people, and I can't lie, although I am repulsed by America, whoever sat down and thought of this master plan of strategically running society is beyond clever and impressive. It was pulled off so well until it wasn't. The question is, how far will they go to maintain the illusion? Pay attention, y'all.